Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co-host, Ash. Now, Ash, do you know the difference between this podcast and one of my favourite drivers and their race over the weekend?
No.
We got started, unlike Carlos Sainz. Yeah, oh god, that was horrible, wasn't it? First thing to kick off, the Grand Prix, Carlos can't even get it started. Yeah, not looking.
Or he really doesn't like that track, so he'd rather have his car on fire.
But apparently, yeah. Do you not remember he was on fire when we were there?
Yeah,
we could smell the smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely bit of Ferrari luck coming Carlos's way. You can take the man out of Ferrari, but you can't take Ferrari away from the man.
Before we jump into F1, do we want to talk F2?
Sure, yes. Let's talk very quickly. Let's talk F2. I'll let you start because you brought it up. What specifics?
Specifically, the Halo potentially saved another couple of lives.
Yeah.
And obviously that ending as well, where the guy spun right at the end.
Yeah,
and caused another crash. Surprised anyone finished that race.
F2 was fantastic this weekend. I didn't catch the F3, but I did catch the F2. And yeah, it was the incident itself in the first race on the Saturday was outrageous.
Yeah.
Essentially the top of two cars kissed as one rolled over the other, if you didn't see it. Go and have a look on the socials though. And while you're over on the socials, be sure to give us a like and follow. I got that.
It was literally Halo to Halo.
Yeah, it was literally Halo to Halo. It was
they mirrored
incredible. So yeah, just mark another name down or another two names down for potentially having their lives saved by the Halo. Absolutely fantastic racing, but also very, very happy to see those two walk away essentially 5 seconds later. Yeah, absolutely crazy. And the racing was great. And then also one of the title challengers, Alex Dunn, got disqualified in race 2. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
His skid plate was too worn down, so he got disqualified. He was P2.
Ew.
So the highs of driving a race-winning McLaren, to the lows of being disqualified from the feature race. Yeah, definitely not a weekend to forget for Mr. Dunn.
I think driving the McLaren made up for it.
Oh,
he literally
100%.
said on the radio, it's like, this is the best day of my life.
Yeah. To be fair, and this is for you, Zach, if you put me in a McLaren, that will be also the best day of my life. So, I'm just going to put it out there. But yeah, F2 was fantastic, and they're racing again at Silverstone, aren't they? So it's back-to-back action. As is, I don't know if you knew this, but British F4 will also be driving there over the weekend at Silverstone. Yeah, which is very cool.
Do you think any of the recovery vehicles will crash into signs?
Hopefully not. Yeah, that was mad.
If you haven't seen the video, watch the video, because you actually can't even blame the driver.
No, it's just a complete freak accident. Really. But yeah, go and have a look on socials for that video as well. It was all happening leading up to the race, wasn't it?
Austria, something always.
It's Austria. Hey, there's always something interesting.
For a very simple track, a lot happens in it.
It's such a great track. It's one of my favorite on the calendar, which is why I was so happy to see it got extended to 2041, which is outrageous, by the way.
Not really when you think about it's the Red Bull Ring, right?
Yes and no, but bear with me. By the time the contract expires, Kimi Antonelli will be 35.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso will probably still be racing.
Probably, yeah. He'll be taking on
trying to chase that
rookie.
Win 33.
But yeah, crazy, but very, very cool. And I even spoke to Sherry and was like, maybe we should go. Maybe we should take a trip to Austria. So who knows? Maybe I will return. But should we talk a little bit about quali first before we jump into the race? Any standout points for you? There were one or two from me, but maybe you can.
Gabriel Bortoleto.
fucking smashed it. Unbelievable from the Sauber. Yeah, they've come into their own recently.
Yeah, and
It's
he's
insane.
getting the props he deserves because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are talking about the rookies of Kimi and Isaac or Isaac. I think Isaac is how you say it actually. But also he was overlooked because he was in such like a back marker car.
The tractor.
But, you know, if you're managed by Fernando Alonso, there's something special about you, and he's slowly proving it. I think race by race that Audi made the right decision to have him in the car. So that was a standout. Lando just absolutely aced it. Would have been nice to see what Max could have done without the yellow flag. Same for Oscar as well. And good on Ferrari for getting the car up there in second and fourth as well.
Yeah, Ferrari had a great quali. I was very impressed with them. Very impressed with Bortoletto as well. And obviously stupidly impressed by Lando. Would you say it was pretty much a perfect lap?
There's no such thing.
Referenced as a perfect lap, and I'm like, it was pretty close. Like, you can't get much better than that. To be fair.
No, you can't. It was a great lap. I'm sure if he looked at all the data on that, he's like, I could have found a little bit more time here and there. But considering what happened in Canada and everything coming up into this race to pull out a performance like that in quali, it's I'm just glad like people are like giving Lando his props as well.
Yeah,
if you want to criticize him,
back immediately.
Yeah, if you want to criticize him, you feel free to criticize him. That's understandable. But when he does something good, you got to give him his props. And there's still people saying, well, Oscar didn't finish his lap and this didn't happen and Max didn't happen. It's just like, you just can't give the guy his props, can you?
He also took pole by half a second, the biggest margin all season. So he also didn't, squeak through. He smashed it. And yes, obviously, it would have been good to see Max's time. But I don't know, if the car was all there for the whole weekend, regardless of what happened to him in the race. But then also, this is more leading sort of into the race as well. But I mean, Oscar could have had a good lap, but I'd argue that Lando had been posting quicker times the rest of the weekend. And for some reason, this is a very Lando Norris track. It's one that he does particularly well at. And yeah, he smashed quali.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's always done well at this track.
Yeah.
Coming into it, it was always going to be between him and Oscar.
Yeah, 100%. And then do we want to roll into the race and just continue hyping up Lando? Because he had a fantastic race.
Yeah, he did excellent first stint, considering he was under a lot of pressure by Oscar.
A lot of pressure by Oscar. And not a lot of people seem to know. Apparently, he had battery issues for the first 20 laps.
Okay, that's interesting.
So apparently that's also part of the reason why he couldn't get away from Oscar, let's say.
Yeah. And then it's like I told you before, the race is interesting before the first pit stops, and then it dies down in the middle, and then it got exciting at the end.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see if they'd left Oscar out a little bit more, because obviously they put him at the same time, see what he would have done in newer tires, and then obviously Oscar had his what was it, the Alpines? What was his radio? The Alpines are still fucking me over.
After all these years,
yeah, I think he lost a couple of seconds on that, and but to be honest, I don't think anyone was touching Lando.
No,
I know he came under pressure, like you said, he had the battery issues, but I think he had it in the bag. He would have defended. He would have pulled out the gap.
Yeah,
he was managing the whole race.
For me, Oscar was catching. He just was. And I think without the Alpine incident and without the back markers and the traffic, I think he would have caught him. But it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. And Lando was doing everything right. And also with the, not the papaya rules were sort of referenced as well. Obviously, Oscar being told that one of the moves where he locked up into turn 4, he was told that was over the line. With that in mind as well, essentially it would have been you have to 100% it's piss easy to pass him type thing. No 50-50s, no dive bombs, no nothing against your own teammate. So I think that with that in mind too, it would have been very difficult to pass with, let's say, 3 or 4 laps left to go.
And he did pass him, and then Lando passed him right back afterwards.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Which was very clever from Lando as well.
It was done.
But yeah, I think that Lando just came back after Canada and smashed it. And I'll ask you this question. For you, was this a race that Lando had to win?
Nah.
Why not?
I just think he needed to put in a good performance. That was it.
Okay.
Because the criticism on Lando is not that he can't win races or he can't put it on pole. It's just that when he's under pressure, he cracks.
Yeah.
So I'd rather Lando come second defending from Oscar Piastri the whole race.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, he had to win the race.
Yeah,
I think that would have done more for him, because he's like, everyone's saying I can't handle the pressure. Everyone's saying Oscar's quicker, and look, I've kept him behind him. I think the win was just a cherry on top. It was just because what was Lando's like previous criticism is like he puts on pole but he doesn't get a good start kind of thing. So
well, you say that apparently the last 4 pole positions Lando's got, he's converted.
Yeah, exactly. So he's turned it around. So now it's like, oh, he can't handle the pressure. And he's like, well, I can handle the pressure.
Apparently so. Or at least he did this week.
And I also don't think he went into it wanting like, I have to win this race. He just,
I imagine that
drive my race.
I imagine that most drivers, like the top drivers, the ones at the who have a decent chance of winning, tell themselves every single race, I have to win this race. Probably, right? Especially if you're battling for a title. But I don't think he was like, if I don't win this race, that's it for the rest of the season type thing. There's still so many points up for grabs. And I think it's also good because it should give him a lot of confidence going into Silverstone this weekend as well. So that's going to be super interesting to see, whether or not the confidence and the swagger will continue into Silverstone and convert it into a decent result, or hopefully a better result than Oscar for him anyway. Maybe not for Oscar, but it's going to be interesting for sure. Other key incidents. Should we talk about Max?
Yeah, let's talk about Max.
Cool. Calling everyone fucking idiots. I think partly because he thought it might have been George that took him out. But then on realizing it was Kimi, he was like, okay, yeah, I get, like, it is what it is type thing, which was just such a funny switch up. But your view on the incident, because for me, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's just Kimi locked up, just went in. It just happened to be Max that was there. Or we can
saw some conspiracy theories. Let's see where you go with this.
We can say, Kimi, look, we'll keep you in the seat. We'll replace George with Max, but we need to get Max in the seat. So we need to have him not score points, activate the performance clause in the contract, and then get him in the car. Kind of feel sorry for George, actually. He doesn't deserve to not have a seat.
No, we did slander him last week. Well, not slander, but we weren't exactly his biggest fans last week. But yeah, it would be very sore.
Yeah, I mean,
I would use if.
I mean, I could see it being a swap deal.
Yeah, I think a swap deal makes more sense than anything else.
If Max went to Mercedes, I think they'll be more than happy to have George in the Red Bull.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yep. So whether George wants that Red Bull is another question.
Well, let's wait and see, because then also, because after Max was taken out, Red Bull were nowhere. They're a backmarker team without Max. So
mad, isn't it?
It's insane. But I'll ask you this. Do you think that Max has a better chance of winning a title at Mercedes next year or Red Bull?
Probably Mercedes.
I think
because Red Bull have a new PU, and it could be absolutely amazing.
It could be dog shit as well.
It could be dog shit. Whereas if you look at Mercedes, when a new PU came in, they were way ahead of everyone. Also, they've been making engines a lot longer than Red Bull and Ford, to an extent, have for Formula One. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think anything's going to happen this year. I think Max would rather see what's going on with all the engines next year, then he can make a more informed decision, because he could be jumping out the frying pan into the fire, right?
Yeah, so for me and Max, obviously this doesn't really have to do with the race, but I'll get through this quickly. But for me and Max, he could very easily stay in and do halfway through the 26th season and then go, oh, actually, you know what? Bear with me. Ferrari are a head and shoulders above everyone else, or Audi are a head and shoulders above everyone else. He could walk into any F1 team, like literally any F1 team. So
I think he could go to Aston if Newey builds a great car.
Yeah, if Newey builds a great car, he could go to Aston. He could very easily go to Mercedes. He could very easily go stay at Red Bull. I don't see him at Ferrari personally. I don't see him at McLaren either. I think that would be there's something massive would have to happen to either Lando or Oscar for that to happen.
I think McLaren are locked with their drivers.
Yeah, they're locked for the next few years, which does make me a little bit sad for Dunn because I can see him in F1 as well. But I it's going to be interesting for sure to see what happens with Max because he could very easily go to another team.
Yeah, and I don't think he wants to deal with the Ferrari politics.
Probably not. No, it's just I don't think he would. But he could do what Michael Schumacher did, bring all of his own people and pull them up by their bootstraps type thing. You never know. He could say, I will only come if I can do this. I want to attack it this way.
True. But then would Ferrari do that?
I don't know. No idea. And I don't think we'll ever know. So should we get back to the race?
Yeah. Imagine you are a Max Verstappen fan.
Oh, yeah.
The Orange Army. They're like, God damn it.
Yeah, not... Hello. Sorry, my dog's just come in. Yeah, not the most fun if you've driven all the way from the Netherlands to Austria to watch Max for a quarter of a lap, a third of a lap.
Yeah, they didn't have a sprint race this year either. So
no sprint race this week. Or this year in Austria. So no, that would have been very, very poor.
Did you see the comments from Sergio where it's like, well, I think people. I can't remember him exactly, but obviously people were very disrespectful to him. And it's like, now I think, the tide is turning. When I said it was a poor car and nobody believed me, Liam Lawson showed it's tough to drive. Yuki showing it's tough to drive.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me.
Yeah.
So
I think his stock has definitely gone back up, but I don't think it's gone all the way up to probably where he would expect it to be type thing. Especially if he's looking towards like that Cadillac seat. I think you're only as good as your last race or your last few races, and he was not very good in his last few races.
Okay, maybe you can join VCarb.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the whole deal is.
That's in the VCarb.
We'll find out hopefully when Cadillac reveal anything at this point. Jesus. But so anything else from you for the race?
No. Like I said, the first
good battles. Did you enjoy the race? Let's actually go backwards to that. Did you enjoy?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, the first stint was kind of just Lando. Well, we only saw Lando versus Oscar. Then it died down as some people were doing one stop, some people were doing two stop, and then towards the end it spiced up again with was Oscar going to catch Lando? Bortoleto and Alonso had a great fight, and anyone doubts Alonso's racecraft. It was like he defended impeccably. He got the DRS to stop Bortoleto going past him.
Yeah,
and when there were some fights, it was good fights. But I just felt the race kind of died once Lando made his first pit stop. And I feel sorry for Oscar because he didn't really get the chance to challenge towards the end.
But that's sort of been the same for most of the races this season. Beginning, brilliant. Middle, chest.
Yeah, it's like I was telling you earlier.
Not that good. I'm actually just watching the incident with Oscar again when he was pushed off. And God, it's awful. It's so bad that even happened.
I don't get the team radios because I know you can listen to the team radio. It would have been interesting to know what they told Colapinto.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I can try and find it out, but I don't know exactly what they were told.
Because they should have made him aware. It's like Oscar is right there. Don't make any. Just watch out, right? It's blue flag conditions.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was just trying to follow Yuki, which is fair.
Yeah.
He just seemingly didn't know that Oscar was there. But one more thing I did want to talk about. Lewis Hamilton. So he was sort of pitted, even though he didn't want to pit, which is insane. And it was for the optimum race pace as far as Ferrari are concerned. But in pitting Hamilton, it sort of just solidified that he was going to finish P4. Whereas if they'd have tried to keep him out or extend, it could have spiced things up a little bit. He could have maybe caught Leclerc, and I think he still had essentially like a free pit stop towards the end anyway. So it was a bit frustrating to see that happen in terms of like essentially the arguing on the radio. I don't want to come in, pit now, but I don't want to. I'm good on these tires. Okay, that's great, but pit please. Versus just listening to your driver. It wasn't a good look, was it?
No, but I think this is one of those things where like we don't know the full picture, and apparently like his race pace was degrading, and like if they left him out, I don't think there's any way that Charles would have just caught him and overtaken him. I think also you have to look at, okay, we leave him out, but if we have to pit him, like I don't know, 10 laps towards the end because his tires are completely shot, we now don't have a good place to put him back into.
Yeah.
So, but you know, yeah, I think sometimes F1 should kind of tell a little bit more of the story, right? It's like it goes back and forth, but you know, his race pace was degrading. But again, you could be right in saying like just try something different. Like, he had a whole pit stop at the end afterwards.
Yeah.
Just try something different. You never know, right?
It was just a bit odd. That was my sort of like, the argument on the radio, and then all of a sudden pitting, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Odd.
Yeah, it's odd.
But no, I don't think there was really anything extra to talk about other than looking forward to Silverstone, obviously.
No, not really. Like I said, the Saubers did well. The Alpines are nowhere. Williams didn't really have the best race. I think the only real talking was like Yuki's moves. It was a bit crazy. And his dives and things like that.
Haas points. They got a point. Ocon finished 10th. That's not bad for them, considering their car isn't particularly great.
No. I think obviously a lot of teams will bring upgrades at Silverstone. British teams generally tend to want to do better.
Yeah.
So that's what Mike Crack was saying. So no, the upgrades come when the upgrades come. It just happens to be at our home race.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see what happens to that Aston Martin once it gets some upgrades. And hopefully they're good ones. They don't take the car backwards like they used to. But speaking of Silverstone, are you looking forward to it? Are you? I'm sure you are.
It's always a good race. I heard rain has been predicted.
As far as I know, there will be rain in the morning of Sunday, but I don't know about the afternoon.
So Silverstone always just it's a track where you can overtake. I think we're going to see some interesting battles up and down the field. I think it's going to be like another Austria.
Yeah, so this could be interesting. So currently, Sunday, it's saying that there's 42% rain coverage between 2 and 4. It drops to 34. So more than likely, there will be patches of rain or cycles of rain where maybe half the track is wet and half isn't, or whatever. Or it could get interesting. However, on Saturday, it's like around 60-ish% rain, and it's just saying rain. So the whole weekend could be tasty, especially because Friday, boiling hot, apparently. So Saturday looks rainier than Sunday at the moment, but obviously it could all change. You never know. But it will make for a very interesting race.
Yeah, there's also going to be... So apparently VCARB are teasing a special livery.
Yep. Nice.
And the Mercedes is going to have an extra splash of orange. Because if they make it papaya, it might go faster. No, it's they launched a concept car.
I saw that. Yeah. It looks horrible.
It doesn't.
It's the front grille. The rest of the car looks nice, but the front grille ruins it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure to see exactly what the weather's doing.
Yep, and let's look at the standings.
Yes. feel free to have a quick look, but it's Oscar leading Lando.
Oscar's leading Lando by 15 points.
Yes, and
so we could see a change in the driver standings.
We could. I doubt it, but we could. I think there'll be a change in difference in points, but I don't know. I don't know how bad of a weekend Oscar would have to have. You know,
you basically have to not finish.
Yeah, essentially, or finish like P8, and Lando would have to win. But looking at the Drivers' Championship, so you have Oscar with 216, then you have Lando with 201, and then in third, you have Max with 155, and then just behind, to be fair, George with 146. So there's only 9 points between Max and George. But with Max's DNF, it's going to be a very, very difficult task for Max to now win the championship, right? Very difficult.
Yeah, especially if they decide to focus on 2026.
Yeah, which they very easily could.
Yeah.
I feel like Ferrari should at this point. They've just brought, obviously, their next upgrades and stuff like that. They brought a new floor to Austria. But I feel as though now they could probably, especially if McLaren walk Silverstone, Ferrari should just switch their entire focus to next year. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think so. I think McLaren are just way ahead of everyone. It's just not worth it.
No, it just isn't. I just can't see it being worthwhile. But there we go. But we'll wrap things up there. One thing, however, we didn't talk about before we do completely disappear. It's been a short one. So we'll just spend 2 minutes very quickly. F1 film. I've seen it. You haven't seen it. You're seeing it tomorrow, right?
Yes, in IMAX.
Nice. I didn't see it in IMAX, unfortunately. But I will try and see if I can find it in IMAX still. Because I would like to see it again. Because I did think it was a good film.
Okay.
But it's not a great F1 film. It's an okay F1 film. That's my review.
Okay. I think that's the same. That's what most people are saying. That it's a good film.
Yeah.
But then you'll look at it and be like, oh, that doesn't make sense from a Formula One perspective.
Yeah,
they wouldn't do that, or they wouldn't say that.
I had a chat with Patrick, who's one of our long-time listeners. Hello, Patrick. I had a chat with him, and I essentially said that this film is like, you know, the MCU where they have different like worlds and stuff like that. So like in one world, the snap didn't happen, in one world, something else happened. This film is like an MCU film where the FIA don't exist. That's what it's like. It's such a weird thing, but that's the most accurate description that I can find so far.
All right. Okay. I mean, it's Hollywood. They have to take liberties in telling a story and also telling the story to people who don't know F1, and also just progressing the story. It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing if it is what the storyline says it is, like, that wouldn't really happen.
No, it wouldn't. And like I said, it's very cheesy at points. There are a couple of things which are really good. I will say though, the album, like the music that's come of this, is brilliant.
I've listened to the
album. Great.
It's quite good actually.
The OMG song by Tiesto, and I think it's Sexy Red. That's a fucking banger. I'm not gonna lie, that song slaps.
Even the Tate McRae song slaps.
Tate McRae song is so good as well, but I feel like the Tiesto song is like going under the radar a little bit. But yeah, the music from it has been fantastic. But yeah, I would see it again because I want to go back and I want to, like, you know, there was so much to take in. But then obviously since the film's come out, I've been told, like, for example, like one lap it's a 23 livery and the next it's a 24 livery on some of the cars, and I'm like, I mean, continuity, it's not great, but if it's only for a split second, then you probably wouldn't even notice. And there's a couple of other things that have been pointed out to me or I've seen on social, and I do want to give it another go. Because I did try and separate myself from the FIA would have a field day here to just enjoying the film. And like I said, I did enjoy the film, but it wasn't as good as, for example, Rush. You know, Rush is still the best F1 film. It just is.
Yeah, Rush is a great film.
Rush
Great
is
soundtrack as well.
phenomenal. Yeah, great soundtrack as well. But Rush is phenomenal. And one of the other things as well I noticed is like they talked about Hans Zimmer doing the score, and I don't know whether or not this is good or not, but I couldn't tell. I can't remember any big like there was no like iconic like Interstellar like key or anything. There was nothing. I didn't know, barely noticed. So don't know whether or not it was because I was so engrossed in Brad Pitt's smile or whatever it was, but I mean, hey, yeah, I didn't really notice. But like I said, good film. Brad Pitt has no care for, he does not have Apple Care. I can guarantee that. He has no respect for his headphones. You'll see what happens. But yeah, you'll enjoy it. I think you will enjoy it. But we will do a full review.
If it's anything like Top Gun, I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, the driving scenes are phenomenal. They are so good. You get such a sense of speed. I got goosebumps once or twice just watching some of the driving scenes. It is really, really good. But it does get a bit wacky races and cheesy and, at points that I think really took away from it. Yeah. Good film.
Yeah.
Not as good of an F1 film.
Okay. Well, hopefully it brings people into the sport.
Yes. And now I can imagine if you watched the F1 film, let's say you watched it Friday or Saturday, and you're like, you know what? I'll give F1 a go. And then you watch the Austrian Grand Prix. That's a great introduction.
Yeah.
Great introduction. So yeah, hopefully it does bring some more fans into the sport for sure. But we'll leave it there. We'll be back with a bit more of a full review once you've seen it. And we'll also be back again after Silverstone to recap the incredible win by Alex Albon. Phenomenal drive from him. Yeah, overtaking Damson Idris on the last lap was phenomenal. Yeah, can't knock it at all. But yeah, we will see you again at some point soon.
See you soon.
Cheers, everyone.